Let's get something straight. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where people just seem to lose respect for you, even though you haven't done anything overly wrong? It's the silent, slow burn of passive-aggressive behavior, the subtle eye rolls, the quiet whispers behind your back. Well, the problem may not always be what you did, but what you didn't realize you were doing. Sometimes, your own actions can silently erode the respect of those around you, without you even noticing. Here's the shocking truth: respect isn't something you demand. It's something you earn through your daily habits, your actions, and how you treat others. Some of the habits we'll talk about today may seem harmless, even trivial. But believe me, they can cost you more respect than you think. Today, we're diving deep into 11 terrible habits that instantly make people lose respect for you. And most of them are habits you might not even realize you have. So buckle up, because we're about to turn these habits upside down and teach you how to command respect effortlessly. But before we get started, if you're serious about mastering these habits and transforming the way people see you, go ahead and hit that like button. Why? Because when you take action, YouTube will spread this video to more people who are seeking exactly what you're learning right now. And when you share this content, you're helping others grow. So step up. Hit like, share, and don't forget to comment with your thoughts. No action, no transformation, remember. Ready to stop wasting time and get the respect you deserve? Let's dive in. Number 1. Passive aggression. Passive aggression is the easiest way to make people lose respect for you. And let's be honest, it's a cheap shot. You don't want to speak your mind, so you wrap your frustration in sarcasm, backhanded compliments, or silent treatment, hoping others will pick up on your cues. But here's the reality: people don't read minds. They're left guessing, and guess what? They don't respect you for it. Here's the kicker: when you choose passive aggression, you're not protecting yourself, you're just making everyone else uncomfortable. They might not call you out on it, but they'll definitely start pulling back. It's like trying to win an argument without ever saying what you actually think. It's weak. It's cowardly. And people see through it. If you want to be respected, speak your damn truth. No one's got time to play guessing games. You're frustrated? Say it. Someone's crossed a boundary. Call it out. But do it calmly, clearly, and with the respect you'd want in return. You don't have to start yelling or throwing tantrums. But don't sit there pretending everything's fine when it's not. That's not strength, that's insecurity. Let's take work as an example. If your colleague always takes credit for your hard work, what do? Sit back and joke about it to your friends later? No. You call them out. You don't have to storm into their office, but you say, "Hey, I noticed my idea got presented as yours, and I'd appreciate if you gave credit where it's due." Simple. Direct. No games. And guess what? You earn respect. The passive-aggressive approach. People will just think you're either too scared or too immature to stand up for yourself. In personal relationships, the same rule applies. Your partner doesn't put in the effort, and instead of complaining behind their back you say, "I feel hurt when you don't make time for me. I'd like us to plan things better." That's maturity. That's clarity. No pouting, no silent treatment, no waiting for them to guess what went wrong. The truth is, if you're waiting for others to figure out your frustration or disappointment, you're the one losing. You're sabotaging your own relationships. Respect comes from strength, from owning your feelings and expressing them without hiding behind games. Don't play the passive-aggressive card. It's a losing hand. Speak directly, and watch how your relationships transform. Number 2. Interrupting others. Interrupting others is like slapping them with your words, except it's more subtle. You know, it's the kind of habit that creeps up on you, especially in a conversation where you feel the need to get your point across. But let's be real, when you constantly cut people off, What you're really saying is, I don't care what you have to say, I care about what I want to say. How attractive is that? Spoiler, it's not. Think about it. Have you ever been in a conversation where you're trying to express yourself, and someone keeps jumping in before you finish? You get that feeling, don't you? Like you're not being heard, your words don't matter, and all your thoughts are just dismissed. People notice that, and guess what? They don't respect you for it. Now let's break this down with a real-life example. You're in a meeting with your colleagues, and as you start explaining your point, one person interrupts you mid-sentence, eager to add their own thoughts. Annoying, right? It's even worse when this happens again and again. Not only does it break your flow, but it also sends a clear message that their voice is more important than yours. That's the last thing you want if you want to build any kind of mutual respect or rapport with someone. Let's take this a step further. Imagine you're having a heart-to-heart conversation with a friend. You're telling them something personal, something you're struggling with, and instead of listening, they interrupt with a story of their own. That doesn't feel like support, does it? It feels like they've stopped caring about your feelings and are more interested in making the conversation about them. Stoicism teaches us that we should listen twice as much as we speak. That's not just some philosophical advice. It's practical wisdom. By genuinely listening to others, you show that you respect them. You acknowledge that their thoughts are valuable, and that you're willing to understand their point of view before responding. It's a practice of humility and emotional maturity. Now, here's the actionable tip: practice patience. Yes, that means you might have to bite your tongue sometimes. You might want to jump in with your opinion right away, but resist the urge. Take a deep breath, stay calm, and allow the other person to finish. Let them speak their mind without interruption. Not only will this show respect, but it will also give you the chance to better understand their perspective, which can lead to more thoughtful responses and deeper connections. When you interrupt, you're not just cutting the other person off, you're also cutting off your own opportunity to learn, grow, and have a meaningful conversation. Don't rob yourself of that opportunity. Take a step back, listen, and watch how your relationships transform. The key to meaningful dialogue is respect, and the first step is to simply let others speak. Number 3. Avoiding responsibility. Taking responsibility for your actions is one of the cornerstones of building trust and respect. When you shift blame or try to avoid accountability, you might think you're protecting yourself. But in reality, you're only undermining your credibility and making others doubt your integrity. The truth is, everyone makes mistakes. It's how you handle them that defines you. Think about the last time something went wrong in your life, at work, or in a relationship. Did you step up and admit it, or did you shift the blame? If you blamed others or gave excuses, how did that affect your relationships or the respect others had for you? Not great, right? Let's imagine this. At work, your team misses a deadline because of a lack of communication. Instead of owning up to your part in the issue, you blame the team or external factors. What happens? People begin to lose trust in you because they know you're not accountable. They stop respecting you because your actions suggest you're not reliable or mature enough to face the consequences of your own decisions. On the other hand, if you acknowledge your mistakes and take responsibility, it shows integrity. Think about a time when someone did this, whether in a personal relationship or at work. It's powerful, right? It's a moment when someone shows their maturity and willingness to grow. It's the kind of behavior that fosters respect and strengthens bonds. Stoicism teaches us that we are responsible for how we respond to situations, even if we can't control the circumstances. As Epictetus wisely said, take responsibility for your actions. You cannot control others, only how you respond to them. So, when something goes wrong, instead of making excuses or blaming someone else, pause, reflect, and acknowledge your part in the situation. The actionable tip here is simple. Own up to your mistakes. When you do something wrong, admit it. Apologize sincerely, and take proactive steps to fix it. People will see you as someone who can be trusted, someone who is accountable, and someone worthy of respect. Number 4. Chronic tardiness. Being late is more than just an inconvenience. It's a glaring sign of disrespect. When you constantly show up late, whether it's for meetings, dates, or casual hangouts, you're sending the message that your time is more important than anyone else's. And let's be real, nobody likes to feel like they're just an afterthought. Whether it's work, friends, or a partner, being consistently late can quickly sour relationships and erode the respect others have for you. Think about it. How would you feel if someone was always late when you made an effort to be on time? Annoyed? Disrespected? Frustrated? Exactly. That's how people feel when you constantly show up late. At work, it can make your colleagues question your professionalism and reliability. In personal relationships, it can make your friends or partner feel undervalued, like your time is not as important as theirs. When you're late, you're essentially saying that they can wait because you've got more important things to do. And that's not a great message to send. One of the biggest reasons people are chronically late is poor planning. If you're constantly running behind, it's time to take a hard look at how you're managing your time. It's not about traffic or how busy you are. It's about being intentional with your time. Stoicism teaches us that time is one of our most valuable assets. Epictetus said it best: time is the most valuable thing a man can spend. It's fleeting, it's limited, and once it's gone, you can never get it back. Every time you show up late, you're squandering a precious resource, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. So how do you fix this? First, start prioritizing punctuality. Treat your commitments with the respect they deserve. If you have a meeting, a date, or an event, make sure you give yourself ample time to prepare and get there early. Build in a buffer so that as something unexpected comes up, you're not scrambling to make up for lost time. One practical tip: get real about time management. If you're prone to running late, try setting your watch or phone 5 to 10 minutes ahead. It's a simple hack, but it's effective in making sure you don't waste any time. Another tip is to plan for the just-in-case scenarios. If you're going to a new location or have multiple stops to make, give yourself extra time. Being late because you didn't plan enough time to account for traffic or unforeseen delays is a sign of poor planning, not bad luck. In your relationships, the impact of chronic tardiness can be even more damaging. Let's say you've been dating someone for a while, and you're always late. Over time, this creates frustration. It's not about the occasional delay, it's the consistent message that they're not a priority. Make it a habit to show up on time, and you'll see how much more respect and appreciation you get in return. Ultimately, punctuality is about more than just being on time. It's about valuing the people you're with, showing respect for their time, and proving that you're reliable. People notice when you show up on time, and that builds trust and respect. So make it a habit, plan ahead, respect other people's time, and stop the cycle of chronic tardiness. You'll see the difference it makes in your relationships, your career, and your life. Number 5. Speaking ill of others. There's a saying that goes, "What you say about others speaks volumes about who you are." Speaking ill of others, whether in the form of gossip, criticisms, or backhanded comments, may seem harmless at first, but it does far more damage than you might think. Not only does it affect how others view the person you're speaking about, but it also reflects poorly on you. In fact, constantly speaking negatively about others makes you appear petty, untrustworthy, and, frankly, unappealing. Why? Because gossip and negativity breed toxicity. When you talk behind someone's back, you're not just damaging their reputation, you're eroding your own. People who engage in this behavior are often seen as insecure or spiteful, using others' flaws to elevate themselves. But here's the truth. That's a fragile way to boost your self-esteem. In reality, people who speak ill of others are often dealing with their own unresolved issues, whether it's jealousy, frustration, or insecurity. Instead of addressing these feelings head-on, they deflect by tearing others down. Let's get practical. Think about how you feel when someone constantly speaks negatively about others. At first, it might seem like harmless gossip. But over time, you begin to lose trust in that person. If they're saying things about others behind their backs, who's to say they won't do the same to you when you're not around? It creates an environment of mistrust and insecurity, and that's something no one wants to be a part of. In relationships, whether personal or professional, trust is everything. And gossip is the quickest way to break it. Now, imagine a different scenario. Instead of engaging in negative talk, you choose to uplift and speak positively about others. You highlight their strengths, acknowledge their successes, and build them up in conversations. That's the kind of person people want to be around, the one who encourages, supports, and promotes positivity. When you speak well of others, you create an atmosphere of respect and integrity. It shows that you value people for who they truly are, and that you have the emotional maturity to focus on the good rather than the flaws. Stoicism teaches us the importance of using our time wisely. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no time on what's not important. When we engage in gossip or negative talk, we're squandering our time, energy, and focus on things that contribute nothing to our growth or happiness. The only thing you gain from speaking ill of others is the fleeting satisfaction of putting someone else down. But that satisfaction fades quickly, and what remains is the damage to your reputation and relationships. The alternative is to focus on what truly matters: uplifting conversations. When you encounter a situation where negativity is brewing, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, is this conversation helpful? Does it add value to anyone, including myself? If the answer is no, redirect it. Instead of tearing someone down, try to find something positive to say. Compliment them on their skills, their effort, or their character. It doesn't mean you're ignoring their flaws. It means you're choosing to focus on the positive aspects of their being. This practice not only strengthens your character, but it also makes you a magnet for positive, respectful relationships. When you speak well of others, people take notice. They see you as someone who can be trusted, who doesn't partake in petty drama, and who exudes integrity. You become a leader in creating a space where people feel safe, appreciated, and valued. So, the next time you're in a conversation that veers toward negativity, stop yourself. Think about the long-term consequences of your words, and choose a different path. Uplift, encourage, and respect others, not because you have to, but because that's the kind of person you want to be. In doing so, you'll not only build stronger connections with others, but you'll also earn the respect you deserve. Number 6. Constant complaining. There's a fine line between venting and constant complaining, and crossing that line can quickly turn you into the person people avoid. You know the type. The one who seems to find something to gripe about in every situation. Whether it's work, relationships, or just life in general, their favorite hobby is pointing out what's wrong with everything. But here's the kicker. Complain doesn't solve anything. In fact, it makes things worse. First of all, what's the point? Constant complaining sends a message that you're not in control of your circumstances. You're focusing on the negatives, constantly reminding everyone of how difficult life is, but doing nothing to change it. People around you may feel like they're walking on eggshells, trying not to trigger the next round of complaints. They start to avoid you, because let's face it, no one wants to be around a perpetual rain cloud. It's draining. But let's take a moment and put this into perspective. Imagine you're at work and you're constantly hearing a colleague complain about their workload. They keep ranting about how unfair it is, how overwhelmed they are, and how everything seems to go wrong. At first, you might sympathize, but after a while, it starts to feel like nothing ever gets solved. The negativity starts to wear you down. Now imagine, instead of focusing on what's wrong, they started talking about what they're doing to handle the situation. I'm working on prioritizing tasks. Or, I'm looking for ways to streamline this. Or, I'll take a break and come back with a fresh perspective. The energy around them would shift completely. People would feel more motivated, and they would respect that person for focusing on solutions rather than staying stuck in complaints. Stoic philosophy teaches us a simple truth. What happens to us is not as important as how we respond to it. The events that occur in our lives are beyond our control, but how we react is always in our hands. Complaining is a reaction that does nothing to solve the problem. It only amplifies the frustration. But when we focus on solutions, we turn a negative situation into an opportunity for growth. So what can you do instead of complaining? The answer is simple. Focus on solutions. Every time you catch yourself about to complain, ask yourself, what can I do to improve this? Change the way you think about problems. Instead of letting them overwhelm you, embrace them as opportunities to find creative solutions. Another way to break the habit of complaining is by practicing gratitude. When you focus on what you're thankful for, it's impossible to stay stuck in negativity. Every situation, no matter how challenging, has something positive to offer. Whether it's the lesson you learned from a mistake, the support you've received from others, or even the small wins in your day, take time to acknowledge them. Gratitude shifts your mindset and helps you become a solution-oriented person. The next time you feel like complaining, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's the positive side of this? What can I learn from it, and how can I move forward? This simple change of perspective will not only improve your own mental state, but it will also make you someone others want to be around, because positivity is magnetic. When you stop complaining and start finding solutions, you begin to transform the energy around you. You become a person of action and resilience, someone who's able to navigate challenges with calm and confidence. Instead of draining the room with negativity, you uplift it with your ability to face adversity head-on. This shift in mindset is not only empowering for you, but it also earns you the respect and admiration of others, who appreciate your ability to maintain composure, focus on what matters, and move forward with optimism. Number 7. Bragging and boasting. Let's get one thing clear. Constantly bragging about your achievements is not a sign of confidence, but a sign of insecurity. It's like a giant red flag waving, screaming, "I need validation." We all know someone who constantly brings up their latest accomplishments, name drops famous connections, or talks about how much better they are than everyone else. But guess what? It's not impressive, it's exhausting. People don't want to hear about how great you are. They want to see it. Think about it. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone who, after every word you speak, has to tell you about their latest win? Maybe it's a friend who can't stop talking about how much money they just made, or a colleague who keeps mentioning the connections they have. Sure, it might seem impressive at first, but after a while, it starts to feel like they're trying to fill an empty space inside them by constantly proving their worth. It's a turnoff, isn't it? Stoicism teaches us a powerful truth. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This applies not only to material wealth, but to the ego as well. If you're constantly bragging, it shows you're trying to fill a void, whether it's the need for recognition, admiration, or approval. You're chasing something external because you're not confident in your internal worth. The truth is, people respect humility far more than arrogance. Think about the most admired people in your life. Are they the ones who boast about their success, or the ones who lead by example, showing their achievements through their actions rather than words? It's the quiet achievers who earn respect, not the ones who are constantly shouting about their latest feat. So, here's the real game changer. Let your actions speak for themselves. Focus on doing great work, being kind, and living with integrity. When you accomplish something meaningful, people will take notice without you having to say a word. Your reputation will precede you, and others will respect you not because you told them how great you are, but because they've seen it for themselves. For example, instead of telling people about your promotion at work, let your colleagues see how you handle new responsibilities. Show your leadership skills, help others when they need it, and lead with humility. People will be impressed by your ability to handle challenges without flaunting your achievements. The same goes for your personal life. Let your relationships and the way you treat others reflect the kind of person you are. You don't need to announce your kindness, your generosity, or your love for others. They'll see it in the way you live. In every conversation, practice restraint. If you're tempted to boast, remind yourself that the best way to show your worth is to stay humble. The more you let your work, actions, and character do the talking, the more you'll be admired for your true value, not just your words. Ultimately, the less you talk about yourself, the more people will notice and respect the real you. Number 8. Being nosy or invasive. Let me guess. You've probably encountered someone who thinks they're doing you a favor by trying to dig into your personal life, right? Maybe it's the colleague who can't stop asking about your relationship status, or the friend who always wants to know exactly what's going on in your personal affairs. We all know that one person who thinks they're entitled to know everything. Well, newsflash. Constantly prying into people's business is not only invasive, it's downright disrespectful. We all have our limits, don't we? There's a certain line where curiosity turns into overstepping. When you start asking questions that make others squirm, you're not being a good conversationalist, you're being a creep. A person who respects themselves doesn't need to violate someone else's privacy just to feel like they're in the loop. Respecting boundaries means understanding that what's personal is personal, and pushing for details only erodes trust. And what's worse than a nosy person? The person who won't take a hint. Ever had someone ask you for the 100th time about your relationship, your salary, or even your weekend plans after you've already politely declined to share? The idea that everyone else's life is an open book for you to leaf through is the epitome of entitlement, and it gets old fast. This is where Stoicism comes in. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself, said Marcus Aurelius. Tolerating someone's personal space means respecting that they don't owe you any details about their life. Your curiosity might be innocent enough, but it doesn't excuse crossing a line. Being nosy is not only a violation of boundaries, it reflects a deeper lack of self-discipline. When you focus on your own life, your own goals, and your own boundaries, you won't feel the need to pry into others' personal affairs. So here's a little actionable tip. Stop fishing for information. Next time you're tempted to ask about someone's personal life, think twice. Ask yourself, would I appreciate being asked these questions? If the answer is no, take a step back and redirect the conversation to something neutral. Let people open up to you in their own time and on their own terms. Respecting privacy isn't just about not asking inappropriate questions. It's about creating an environment where people feel safe and respected in your presence. In the end, the most intriguing thing you can do is stop trying so hard to find out what's behind closed doors. When you respect others' boundaries, you earn their trust, and you build a deeper, more meaningful connection. People won't forget that you treated them with dignity, and that's far more powerful than being someone who's just curious about everything. Number 9. Speaking loudly or making inappropriate jokes. You know those moments when someone speaks so loudly you can practically feel the air vibrating, as if they're broadcasting their thoughts for the entire room? Or worse, when they tell a joke that's just too much. The kind that makes everyone else squirm in their seats, trying to pretend they didn't hear it. Yeah, that's the kind of behavior that can quickly make others lose respect for you. It's not about being too sensitive. It's about basic consideration for those around you. Here's the thing, it's easy to get lost in your own world, but when you make the conscious decision to speak loudly or crack jokes that push boundaries, you're essentially saying, my thought is more important than everyone else's comfort. Whether you're at a quiet library, a serious meeting, or a family gathering, being mindful of your tone and the context is crucial. No one enjoys feeling like they're trapped in an uncomfortable environment, and your inconsiderate behavior can create tension instead of relaxation. And here's the real kicker. When you make inappropriate jokes or speak too loudly, you make it about you, not about others. It's as if you want all the attention in the room. But that's not how you build respect. Respect is built on understanding, not loud declarations of superiority. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own actions and reactions, to keep ourselves in check. Marcus Aurelius said, "Silence is a lesson learned through life. There is no need to speak." And isn't that the truth? Sometimes, silence is not only golden, it's the key to respect. If you want people to admire you, to want to listen when you speak, you need to learn when to dial it back. That doesn't mean you need to turn into a robot who can't have fun, but it does mean you need to be mindful of the environment around you and how your behavior impacts others. Speaking loudly and making off-color jokes may get you some laughs in the moment, but it can also make people uncomfortable or resentful. So here's your tip. When you're in a setting, take a moment to assess the vibe. Is everyone speaking in low tones? Is this a serious meeting or a casual conversation? Adjust accordingly. If your joke is on the edge, maybe keep it to yourself. Empathy goes a long way. Think about how your words or actions might make others feel. When you speak with consideration, you'll find people will naturally respect you more because they know you respect them. In the end, real power comes from the ability to control your speech and actions. When you choose to speak thoughtfully and with consideration, you elevate yourself and the people around you by creating a space where mutual respect thrives. Number 10. Assuming everyone is your friend. The classic mistake, thinking that just because you've met someone once or twice, they're now your lifelong buddy. It's the social equivalent of walking into someone's house, sitting down and saying, "All right, what's for dinner?" without even asking if they're okay with you raiding their fridge. Here's a shocking reality. Not everyone who smiles at you or shares a few words is your friend. Weird, right? You'd think the world operates on friendship, but alas, it doesn't work that way. The truth is, assuming everyone is your friend too soon is a surefire way to make people uncomfortable. Think about it. Relationships, whether personal or professional, require time to develop mutual trust and understanding. If you dive in headfirst, assuming everyone has your back, you're not only overstepping their boundaries, but also ignoring the fact that trust and familiarity take time to build. It's like assuming a stranger on the street is a close confidant just because they waved at you. A wave doesn't a friendship make. Let's bring it to a real-life example. You meet a colleague for the first time, and without realizing it, you start confiding in them about your personal problems, sharing details about your life that you wouldn't normally spill to someone you don't know well. They stand there awkwardly, trying to politely smile, while clearly wondering how they got stuck in this situation. Trust me, they're not thinking about how great of a friend you are. They're more likely midly playing their exit strategy. In fact, they're probably thinking, "I barely know you. Chill out, buddy." The same goes for dating. A quick hello and a handshake don't suddenly make you soulmates. Don't rush intimacy, or you might just scare them off. As Plato wisely said, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle. People are often dealing with their own struggles, and jumping into an intimate friendship without knowing where they stand in relation to you is just rude. Not everyone is in the same place emotionally, and by assuming too much too quickly, you risk alienating those around you. Here's a wild idea. Take it slow. Respect that not everyone will be ready to share personal details with you right away. Start with surface-level interactions. Build rapport, and let trust grow naturally over time. Approach people with humility, not expectation. Instead of assuming familiarity, try respecting the space between you and them. Relationships take time to bloom. So let them grow, don't force them. Number 11. Copying others without acknowledging it. You know what's truly underwhelming? The simple act of copying others. It's like you've been handed a blank canvas, and instead of creating your own masterpiece, you just paint over someone else's work and call it your own. How original. But here's the thing. Not only is it lazy, it's downright disrespectful. By copying someone without giving them credit, you're not just borrowing ideas. You're saying, my thoughts aren't worth anything, so I'll just swipe yours. And people? They notice. And no, that doesn't earn you respect. Let's be honest. Most of us have been there. Maybe you're working on a project, and you stumble across something impressive, whether it's a colleague's brilliant idea or an influencer's brilliant take. Instead of using it as inspiration to fuel your creativity, you just steal it wholesale. You think, just a little borrowing, and no one will know. But here's the ugly truth. If you pass off someone else's work as your own, you're not only stealing their ideas, you're robbing yourself of growth and authenticity. Eventually, people catch on, and when they do, all that borrowed respect vanishes in an instant. Take the workplace as an example. Let's say you're assigned to a big project, and you see a colleague's presentation that knocks it out of the park. Instead of using their work as a springboard to generate your own brilliant ideas, you decide to just use their presentation. Yeah, you might get by for a minute, but would people realize it's a rip-off? Guess what happens to your reputation? Spoiler alert, it doesn't go up in flames, it disintegrates. As Marcus Aurelius so wisely reminds us, don't waste time on what's not important. Copying is, by definition, a waste of your potential. It's easy, sure, but it doesn't develop you. Instead of replicating others' ideas, carve out your own path. Embrace what makes you unique. That's where the real value and respect lies. So here's the challenge. Start creating, start thinking for yourself, and start owning it. If you admire someone, great. Let them inspire you, but then make it your own. If you're influenced by someone, acknowledge that influence openly. You'll build respect in a way that copying never will. Originality isn't just about having a unique style. It's about having the courage to be yourself. When you embrace your individuality, the world won't just notice. You'll earn the respect that comes with standing firm in who you are. Conclusion. Let's be real. These 11 habits are like silent killers of respect. Whether it's interrupting, bragging, or copying others, these behaviors may seem small at first, but they add up over time and create cracks in how others perceive you. And let's face it, none of us want to be the person who's constantly disrespected, but the truth is, it's all in our hands. Stoic principles teach us that we have the power to choose our reactions, to practice humility, and to lead by example. By eliminating these toxic habits, you not only regain respect, but you also strengthen your own character. So here's the challenge. Look through these 11 habits and ask yourself, which one do I need to let go of? Change starts with awareness, and once you take action, your relationships, your environment, and ultimately, your life, will start shifting in a new direction. It's not just about others respecting you. It's about you respecting yourself enough to evolve. If you've recognized any of these habits in yourself, it's time to break them. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. What habits have you found yourself falling into? And how are you working to change them? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Spread the word, and let's all become the best versions of ourselves, with respect, stoicism, and clarity leading the way.